Welcome back to the program. Madge on a Monday. That's what we do. We do it all thanks to Finch Financial as well. That is asset finance made simple. Head to finchfinancial.com.au. That is Julian, Nicole and the team there. And that's why we get into this.
Your NRL fix with Kiwis coach and Raiders assistant Madge on Mondays. Thanks to Finch Financial. Asset finance made simple. Head to finchfinancial.com.au now.
That's right. He is the NRL senior consultant at the Canberra Raiders and the Kiwis head coach, and obviously very disappointed with what happened yesterday, although I'm sure proud of the team. He's on the line. Hello, Madge.
Hello, Jimmy. How are you, mate?
Well, I'm well. I tell you what, I'm just looking at you and I'm hearing some bird life in the background. You found yourself a very atmospheric spot there today. Where are you?
I did, mate. I'm down in Canberra out in the backyard, smelling the roses, mate. We had a bit of a tough day out yesterday, as everyone would have known. It was a incredible battle, actually, between the two teams. And as a staff and coaches, we're very proud of our players, but I think the players and all of us are disappointed that we actually believed that we could win that, and I thought we put ourselves in a position to do that. There's not too many people outside our walls, which I think Ricky described after the game, that probably thought we were even a chance. But within this group of players and the belief that they have for each other, we went up there with the expectation of winning that game. And look, it came right down to the wire with the extra time and a couple of field goal shots that were unfortunately charged down. So it was there, but tough one to take because it sort of finishes up what's been a really hard working season, and they've captured something very strong down here with a lot of those younger guys coming through, and they were on show there yesterday. So it goes to show that they're in for some good times ahead.
It was one of the most extraordinary games of football we've seen in a long, long time. Take us, you talked about being inside the four walls. Take us inside the four walls, the build up to it, the morning of the game, and as you say, the performance by some of the players there, the unheralded players, but also your stars stood up as well, which was obviously very pleasing for all the coaching staff and supporters, Madge.
Yeah, very much so, Jimmy. Like the week itself, I think it was very publicised that, we probably weren't much of a show with all our big boys sitting out. We had Big Papa and Corey out and Seppi Chris out. So we had some pretty good players sitting on the sideline, but I think what the leaders have done have really embedded themselves into a lot of the juniors, or the younger ones, I should say, coming through in Trey and Utter and Pepe. They, unfortunately for Pepe, came off early. But look, I think the build-up throughout the week was a really good one. There was a lot of belief around the team going into that game, and that performance that you saw there yesterday is exactly what we expected, that it was going to be a battle, and full credit to the Newcastle town. Like, what an atmosphere. It was absolutely amazing. That's one of the best I've seen. Like, it was incredible, which I'll get to in a second. But, the boys built it up, and we prepared well, and we obviously knew that Kalen was going to play, and Hastings was a little bit busted. So, we had different bits of our game plan around seeking out various opportunities, and we put ourselves right in the fight. And a little bit of brilliance from obviously Kalen, which we were very aware of, was what they've shown over this last sort of 10 weeks, where Kalen sort of set the team alight. We had to make sure we nullified. So he did get us on a couple, but we also returned serve, and to see Tommy Starling, get the try at the end, we knew that it was going to be an 80-minute battle. And sure enough, I went into extra time, and we did have our opportunities there, and they unfortunately were able to get at Jamal on those kicks. So we nearly sealed the game before it got to the 80, but not to be. And it was a tough change room after it. I think that because the boys had that belief of going up there and winning the game, that's why you have the heartache that you have after a big occasion like that. But full credit to Adam and what he's done over the last few months. He obviously was under a fair bit of pressure there as a coach, and it's nice to see a coach bounce back the way he has. And he's had a tough year, obviously, personally, but then on the field he's had some battles, and it's nice to see a coach come out the other side. And he's obviously on his next step now to try and get to the grand final.
Yeah, it's incredible the emotional involvement and investment that teams and players and coaches put into matches like that. I made mention of it earlier in the program. I think Jack Wighton played really well yesterday, and we'll get to the biting incident or alleged biting incident very shortly. That defensively, he was really, really strong. I think it looks like he's even leaned up a little bit. He looks lighter, but he got burnt on the outside like he was standing still by Kalen Ponga. I didn't realise Kalen was so quick, Madge.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what Kalen's done in this, as I said, the last couple of months.
Yeah.
He's really ignited Newcastle. I mean, those moments, they're the big moments in big games.
Yep.
When it was right on the wire, that game. And that's, having a player like Kalen in your team is what it takes at this time of year. It just breaks the game open. It's literally one play, as you spoke about it. I think he had two plays there, which was the difference of him being able to get outside of Jack, who, is a very good defensive centre.
Yeah.
We sort of had our winger up there, and he subtly turned out, and then Kalen just burned him on the outside. And you've got Big Young out there as well with a fair bit of speed as well. So, he's showing and what he's very capable of, Kalen.
Yeah. What about the atmosphere? I reckon the 2014 Grand Final was incredible atmosphere. It was a game put on for South Sydney to win. I think a lot of Bulldogs fans believe. But I reckon there'd be some great moments you had over at Old Trafford with the Wigan side winning Challenge Cups that might equal that yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 14 Grand Final, nothing will ever beat that one,
right,
Jimmy. To be a part of that was number one. But look, you then compare it to times that I had overseas, like the Wigan Warriors, the singing and what goes on in a stadium over there. If ever you get a chance to go to one of the big games, whether it's Old Trafford or Wembley, the atmosphere is quite amazing. But I just thought yesterday was a great reminder of what rugby league's all about. That to have the fans, I don't think anyone left at the end of the game. I think I did spot a interview that Kalen had actually after the game, and the whole crowd erupted again. I think it was probably 20 minutes or 30 minutes after the game. So it was great to see that part of it. But unfortunately for us, we were on the other side and had to deal with not being able to take or head into the next week of finals, which was so close for our players and our staff and the organisation.
Flashpoint in the match was when Jack Wighton wasn't penalised but was placed on report. The evidence was quite compelling. He's now been referred to the judiciary, so that will play out. It might have an impact on the Kangaroos. It's certainly going to have an impact on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. What was the talk in the sheds after the match, Madge?
Not a lot, Jimmy. We didn't really talk too much around that. I mean, that's going to come down to whoever has to adjudicate what they believe happened in that situation. I mean, when you're in a game and you've got arms wrapped around mouths and heads, you can squeeze quite tight. So I guess it comes down to the judgment of what whoever believes happened in that moment in time. But the arm was wrapped around, it was tight, and we're always making sure that we're telling our players to get nice and tight in your tackles. So if you've got it stuck in someone's mouth, well, I guess a situation like that can happen. Yeah.
What did the side do? Did they come home last night? What are the Raiders doing today? Does the team still have for want of a better term, a recognition, a celebration of the season? What's the plans for that match?
I think every team does get together at some stage. We were on a chartered flight because all our plans were about rolling into this week, going into what the next final was about. So the club went to a lot of effort to make sure that we could get our best recoveries and everything right, because as we said, that game was so close. That was our expectation. It was we were coming back to prepare for the next game. But I'm sure the boys will get together today, and we'll have a chat as coaches around what happens next. And then obviously for myself personally, mate, I need to jump into the international scene now, and my big focus will be around the Kiwis and what's coming next.
Are you engaged? Yep, and we'll get to that. Are you engaged with the Raiders for next year?
I want to keep assisting Ricky and the team, mate. I've really thoroughly enjoyed coaching, and obviously everyone knows that I'd like to move to the head coaching at some stage, but when the time's right. But I've really enjoyed working down here at Canberra. It's a very good organisation. I really the stability of it, and the vision of where they want to take it with their young juniors. It's quite exciting. So I've enjoyed my time working with the Raiders and Ricky and the staff here.
Player's player from yesterday, or was there a first among equals?
Oh, player's player from yesterday, or across the comp?
Or no, just for the Canberra side. Was there one that even the coaches? Did you look at that and well, there probably was a couple of names.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a real team effort, Jimmy. I thought to look at our younger players perform the way they did in such a big game, like Trey Mooney. He's been playing a lot of reserve grade, and it was nice to see. They had a drop out, and he pushed one off and went over for the try. Young Ato Mariota, I thought he was a really good standout as well.
Yeah.
But then you go to Elliot Whitehead, who has been leading the team. He's a tough Englishman. I love the fact, obviously, my time that I was over there at Wigan with the tough English people, and up north there, it's it's tough living at times, but they're great people. And Elliot reminds me so much of just the toughness of what the north of England brings. And he makes 1,000 tackles, and he doesn't shirk any hard work, and he's always you see him falling apart at times through the games, but he'll get back up and go again, and that's just that toughness. So I guess across the team, it was a real team effort that was needed, and as you said, unfortunately, Kalen just skipped to the outside on once or twice, and he was able to get those tries. And as much as we worked on those throughout the week, Jimmy, it's amazing. You can do as much practice, but until you have to face it under a big moment of pressure, it just goes to show what can happen when you've got the quality of player out there.
You've got a couple of hats that you could look at Jordan Rapiner from, but so the NRL consultant, he was very good. From a Kiwis coach point of view, he's put his hand up again, Madge.
Yeah, the last 3 or 4 weeks, Jimmy, out at fullback, he's dropped a few kilos and he's leaned up. He's probably got himself in a little bit of trouble over time because he's just such a competitor with the feet and a few fines. But look, he is just an outright competitor, and you can understand why he's been in the game for such a long period of time. He just scraps, and he's one of those players that will fight to the death and support his teammates, and the players really enjoy having him around.
Yeah. What about the other games, mate? We've been through them. Broncos 26-0 over the Storm. The Panthers, similar margin, 32-6 over the Warriors, and the Roosters and the Sharks in a classic down there at Shark Park, 13-12. What was your take out of Friday night? Broncos up against the Storm.
Well, it's hard to really go past Penrith and the Broncos. I just think at the moment, just defensively, they're just so strong. Look, I think I've never seen Storm zeroed. Last time was way back in, I think, 2008 when they got caught out in the grand final there where they lost Cameron Smith a long time ago. So, but the Roosters, what a great gallant effort that was. To have, I think, 3 of their fullbacks off the field. They had Sandon Smith at fullback at one stage.
Yes.
And just fight. That just goes to show that the champions within that team are still very hungry to have another crack, even though you'd probably go back 2 or 3 months and you thought the Roosters were done and dusted. So the underbelly of what's going on there is showing the fight that they had. I think the Warriors will be very interested to see if Sean Johnson plays.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play, I think it's going to be a real challenge for the Warriors. The fact that you could just sort of sense with the difference of kicking game, that was a big part that I thought was different for the Warriors. Just the kicks to the corner and just the leadership that Sean Johnson brings. It's going to be a real challenge for the Warriors when they play the Knights. But how will the Knights bounce back after a big challenge like yesterday? Yeah,
that's the question, isn't it? How much did it take out of them physically? They got the travel involved in that as well. More than 90% chance of winning, Staffy says, with Sean, of playing. Staffy said, I got ahead of myself there with the winning bit too, didn't I? Speaking of, from a Kiwi's point of view, have you had an update with Joey Manu and the seriousness of that hamstring injury?
No, I haven't. Through physios, I've had a bit of chatter that they're going to do everything possible, I'd imagine, to get him going this week. But, when you've got a reoccurrence in a hamstring, that's going to be a real battle for them. But I think he's got a little bit of downtime, so looking forward to getting Joey into camp when the time's right.